Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the data visualization, and we are going to initiate with one of the data visualization library, which is Matplotlib. What Matplotlib does basically, that is one of the library. We have multiple libraries for data visualization in Python. For example, Matplotlib, Seaborn, Buka, and so on. There are n number of libraries available for data visualization, and we can create a very good visual impacts for our data, so that we can have a clear idea what basically our data says and all. Sometime people do analysis using pandas, and they do not visualize their data. So it is very tough to get the information in the form of numbers and all. So the better is to do or to use some visuals, so that we can have a clear idea of what exactly the behavior of the data and how our data distributed and all. So I'm going to initiate it so that we can further do some projects using data visualization as well. So to use Matplotlib, first I'm telling you that how to install it if it is not installed to your system. We can install it using pip install Matplotlib, and we have to follow the instructions to install it. Although if you're using the Anaconda, that is already installed, you don't have to install it. You just import and start using it. Basically, just how to import a Matplotlib. First, let me insert a cell above and copy this code, and let me paste it. So here you see that numpy we already know, so we just basically imported it. And pandas we have imported because we know how to import pandas as well. And the next thing we are going to do is Matplotlib. Might be we have it is required to do something or some analysis using pandas or numpy as well. So the very first cell of our basically the notebook, we are going to import the required libraries. So the Matplotlib syntax is to import Matplotlib. First we import Matplotlib, and from the Matplotlib we are going to use a submodule which is pyplot as plt. So this is the syntax to import it. And then we use one of the added line, which is percent matplotlib inline. I'm going to explain it that how we use it. This is the Jupyter notebook, and till now, that whatever you learn for NumPy and pandas and all, you were not creating any visual impacts, some lines, some designs, some color coding and all. So that is not coming by default to the Jupyter. And if you want that thing to be there in Jupyter notebook, so we are using percent matplotlib inline. Percent matplotlib inline is just to showcase you all the color codings, designs and all, that you are going to display or use while creating some plots and all. Is it clear? So this is what percent matplotlib inline does. Now we are talking about how to do how we write a basic code. So whenever we do some plotting, so we require data as well as the x and y axis. you know some data, that what is the data that is there for x-axis and the data that is there for y-axis. So to do this is the very basic plotting I mean the code. Plt we are going to use because we have imported matplotlib as plt, and then plt dot plot because we are going to plot, and the x and y axis data we have directly passed here. This is the very basic syntax for that. So this one is the data for x, and separated by comma we have passed that into a list. Then the second one is for y. So this is we have put it there, and then we did plt dot show. So just to showcase whatever we have plotted, so we run this. Let me showcase you. Yes, so you see that for x-axis the maximum value that we have given, that was 50, and you see it has created till 50. And for the y-axis the maximum value is 12. So if you make some changes to this, let's say you make it 90 and then you done, so you see this is the changes to our data, and it goes till 90 and all. I mean, we have some extra uh, uh, line for x-axis, and let's say this is for 60 for example, and you run it. and you again see that this how it looks like. So this line is being drawn based on the data that you pass here. So let me pass it here, and here it goes, right? You can see. So one more thing you observe, that we didn't mention that what would be the maximum range for x-axis and y-axis, and how they are going to display, what will be the difference between them. So you see it has already taken based on this value. Let's say you put it, for example, this 90, you put it as, let's say, 5 only, and we run it. Let me scroll up, and you see that for here the difference is of 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30, and here it is for 10, because here we have small values, so it has given the small difference between two values, and here we have started from 4 and then 60, it has given difference of 10. So this is the very basic thing. It's the matplotlib is quite smart, we don't need to mention that thing. And next we goes like, we are going to make it more user friendly, and we are going to get some data from we are directly passing some data through x and y. So you see here we have given data for x axis, for y axis, and then we use the exact same thing that we did in previous example, plt.plot, and rather than passing data, we have given the name of the objects that we have created for x and y. And whenever we create any plot or any visual graphs, so we give certain name or title to them, and we represent them what exactly the x-axis represent, or what is there for x-axis and what is there for y-axis. So we can basically name them and display them to that graph as well. So title is the thing in which we give the name of that particular graph, and x label is a predefined function where we can mention what we are going to display and what it is about x-axis. So you can put any information, and for y label as well, and once you run it, it will be displayed. Here it is. This is the name of the plot, and for x-axis you have written price of product, which is here, and for y-axis this is total number of products, and the plot is drawn basically based on this value. If we make changes to this value, so here it will goes, and it will directly we can see the changes to this plot as well. And if you rename it sample plot or whatever. So one more thing I want to convey here, there is no sequence to put title, x label, and y label. You can put that in any sequence. This is not going to be to have any impact of your output. You can have any sequence for that. So let's move some other thing as well. Here, I have taken a data in which I'm going to create a bar plot for two particular, you can say, the two different brands of car. One is the Maruti and one is the Jaguar, let's say. And we have the data for Maruti and Jaguar for X and Y axis both. And then I'm going to tell you that, previously when we plotted that, we haven't given any color to this, that this should be in blue or in red or whatever. So that was the default color. But in case you want to make changes to the color, let's say you don't want blue or the default color whatever they have given, you want your own customized color, or you want to customize the width of your bars and all, so you can do that part as well. And some more things that I'm going to explain it here. So first you see that plt.bar, I have directly passed the x and y axis data. You see that that is here. That should be equal. I mean, for these are the 5 values and these are the 5 values. And for label is basically just what that, because we are going to different let's say compare two cars all together. So just to distinguish that part, we have to give the name of those labels. So for the first bar, I have given a label Maruti, and the color I have defined as R. And for color part, I'm going to explain for any color. Let's say basically most of the color do uh, we can represent by their first letter. For example, this is blue, so you can use B for blue, and if it is green you can use G for green, and if it is black, for black it's K. because that's blue is also there, and then we have magenta and all. So you keep trying by the first letter, otherwise you can go to the official website of Matplotlib and you can find the list of color with their code from there. So this is what we did here. We have passed the data for Maruti, and we have given the label and the color, and the width that we have defined is 0.3. If we don't define color and width, it will take the default one. And for the second one, which is Jaguar, we have given a color as green, which is G, the first letter of green, and the width is 0.2. And one more thing which is here, that is legend. So it is the same that we do have in let's say some other data visualization libraries as well, or tools as well, for example in Tableau or in Power BI. And also we have exactly the same thing here for Matplotlib. So legend basically is this part. See you see in this output, legend is basically in your plot, or in your chart or graph, you can say. It will be represented that you are plotting two things all together. So legend will display that thing in a corner of that particular graph, and you can easily understand that red is representing Maruti and green is representing Jaguar. So legend basically coming from there, and this is the use of legend. And the next label that we already discussed, y label, title and just show. So if we run it, we see that this is the information. If we make certain changes to here, for example for red, let's say we do blue, so we put B, and you see that this is blue and green. And for width, let's say you make more changes to this, let's say you do 4, so you see that differences will be there as well. Let's give it a name red, and here it goes, right? And legend is this part. For example, you just comment it and you run it, you see there is no legend, I mean the information about this. And if you uncomment it, you see that is visible. So all the bars is based on the data that we passed here. And if you make changes to this data, you try to do it by your end, it will be impacted to the visuals of this bars here. So you can create bars in one basically graph for multiple things altogether. Here we are directly passing that data. Further, I'll showcase you how to display these information using a data frames for any columns and all. So here one more thing I'm going to explain for the bins and for histogram. For example, previously we were dealing with the let's say the one range of data, let's say few points were there. But here you see that we have data as a population is, and there is a huge amount of data. You see that multiple data points are available, you see. So if we create bars to them, and there will be very minor difference, so there will be n number of bars, and it will be quite tough for you to interpret that output. You won't be able to interpret. You can create bars for that, but it's very tough for you to interpret it. So I'm telling you, for example, for the continuous data, let's say you need to put data points which starts from 1 to 0. So you can have 1.1 that may have a different bar, 1.12 may have a different bar, because that's a different value. 1.121 will be having a different bar. So rather than creating multiple bar for a very small difference of that particular value, what we can do, we can create some bins. What bin says, basically, let's say anything which comes between 1 to 10 will go to this bin, and anything which comes to 10 to 20 will go to second bin and third bin and all. So we can basically define the bins. So based on the height of the bin, we can understand that this range of data is maximum for our data set. We do have maximum data for this range, something like that. I'm going to explain it. So for this data I have created some bins. So I have, because that's not a very huge data, I just put it a difference of 10. So anything which is coming 0 to 10 will go to this bin, and then for between 10 to 20 will go to the next bin, and so on. I have created till 120. So you see, you can count the number of bins from there. And then I'm going to create a histogram. So for histogram, I'm going to use a data which is there in population A's, and that will be a bin. and the type of the histogram will be bar, and this would be a width. So previously we have used width, and here in histogram we are going to use r width. So that these are some naming conventions for different plots. To get that information, you can simply use shift plus tab and you will get the entire information related to this, right? You see here, and if you put this, so you'll be getting, I press shift plus tab, you will get all the information with some examples. So you can check it from there. That would be quite helpful for you, right? So, and the next label, Y label title show, and I'm going to create the bin for this. And I haven't defined the color. If I'm going to define a color, so it may have a different color as well. For example, let's say, let me put color equals to, which is, let's say, green. So if I'll run it, I think color it's not going to take like this. Okay, I'm going to, yes, here it is. So I haven't mentioned the color, but here it has taken default as blue, and now I have given G, so it will take, it has taken green. And if I type M, so it will take magenta and all. So this is how we can make changes. And now let's move to the bins that we have created. If you look into the data, so we have value which lies from maximum values which lie into this group. And if you make changes to the data here, what you can do, you can use some pandas to find out the unique records and the number of occurrences that is there for population, as just to be sure that the maximum occurrence is lies between which bins and all. And that's it. That's what you can, that's how you can create histogram. This is one of the important diagram, and we majorly use histograms in our real time data sets and all. Now let's move to the another chart, which is a scatter plot. A scatter plot, basically we use just to find out the relation between x and y axis, that how they are scattered, are they linear or non-linear, how they scattered and they're connected to each other. Just to get that information, we create a scatter plot. Hope you guys if for the linear regression, if just to check the relation between two different variables, we create a scatter plot to check how they are related, whether they are do have linearly independent, or they make a non-linear relation and all. So just to get that idea, we create a scatter plot. So here we have used two set of data, xy and x1 y1, and for one is for the high income low saving, the label that I have given here, and for second scatter plot I'm using x1 y1, and the label I have given low income high saving. So they may have different attributes, like for a scatter plot we have different attributes, and previously we have used another way to use it. Just to get the all idea, I already conveyed you, we can use shift tab to get all information. You see that what is there, you can see here, and you move on what exactly it does. You see that I see that C is for color. If I have completely given color, let's say if we mark it as C only, so that will also work for color. You see that in place of color I have used C. So we can check that from shift tab, that how it works and what are the different attributes that we can apply with their complete description and examples. So now the scatter plot has been created, and you see that how data is distributed. This is for the you see the data points for the savings into 100, low income high income low saving, this is the data points, and low income high saving, these are the data points, because we have put it lesions, so that's why it has given this information there. There are multiple way, there are a number of things to do with a particular plot, so you can basically go through with the official website to get that information. And it's very tough to memorize that code, so we basically get that from the official website of Matplotlib, and we put our data into that. So this is not very important to memorize all the data visualization code and all, but you should have a basic understanding of that. So here you see, I don't require to import it again and again. Here I'm going to create a stack plot. For a stack plot, I have a data. This is the data which is there for days, and for every day I have divided that into the hours, and for all hours I have different activities. One is for sleeping, eating, working, and playing, and these are the number. This is just the sample data, just to let you know that how we create a stack plot. So a stack plot is basically a combination of multiple plots, you can say. So first we have created the plots, and for plot for the sleeping, and I have given a different name. For yellow is for sleeping, and line width I have set it. And for eating I have created a plot, and for working I have created, and then I have created for playing as well. And then I have combined all those into stack plot. You can easily see that days we have divided into four parts: sleeping, eating, working, playing. And all the colors that we have mentioned for these plots, I have put it that into a list, and I have given a name as colors. So it is going to have a color for the respective activity. Let's say sleeping is yellow and eating is magenta, red, and green. And then I have put it X label, Y label, title, legend, and show. So once I'll run it, you see that it has created a stack plot. Stack plot, basically it will give you the idea from the day, that what was the maximum time that you spend for which activity. You see, for green, let's say playing is the maximum one, and the minimum one is for eating. And that information is basically coming from that data which is there in sleeping, eating, working, and playing. So this is what you can see. So stack plot you can create just to get the idea for the combined information, and you can basically understand that how and what is how the data is distributed for different activities altogether at one place. So if I'll give that information in the form of numbers, it's tough for you to understand. But if I showcase you this plot, so you can easily understand, the maximum part goes for playing, and the minimum goes for the eating, and there is one for sleeping as well, and one for working as well. And you try to make changes to this data and see the impact for this stack plot as well. I hope it's clear for you. And next is basically we're going to create a pie chart. So pie chart is also one of the important part, and there are multiple things to understand for this chart. And we are going to use the same data that we use for stack plot, right? So you understand that basically I have added one more thing here, which is slices. Slices is basically what it does. It will calculate the all the data that we do have in these four different activities, and then it will distribute that into these slices. I mean, the first activity, 4 slice, fourth part of the data, 6, 4, 7. You make changes. I mean, and then activities are like this, and these are the colors that we have put in. And for plt.py, when you create a code or syntax for this, so first I have created that I needed a pie chart, and the slices based on this value, which is there already mentioned. Labels are the activities that I already mentioned. And the start angle, basically when you're creating a pie chart, what would be the start angle for creating that? So you can have 45, 60, 95. It's up to 90, it's 60, 30. It's up to you that what angle you want to have. Shadow is basically in case you want to have shadow for your pie chart or not. So if you make true, it will have a shadow. If you don't put it, so it will not have shadow. Then we move to the explode. Explode is basically when we create a slices, let's say in pie chart. So for each and every slice, there is a very small gap. I'll showcase you once I'll run this code. So we basically take values like 0.1, and 0.1 is for one activity. So it will be distinguished by the other things that we do have in pie chart for every slice. And we recommend to have rest of the values as 0. Then we move to the autopact. Autopact basically gives you the percent value, and how we calculate it I have already written here. So let's say if the autopact is 0.25, so that means the numeric value will be there for the 2 places of decimal, right? So I'm going to display you, and then name of the title and show on. Once I'll run it, you see that the entire information is divided into the into the term of percentage, that the data we do have in different activities. And for eating, the explode was 0.1. If you see that second activity is eating, and that is 0.1. And for activity, you see there is a white gap between all the slices, that is coming from that explode. You see, and if I put 0.1 here as well, let's say in place of 0, if I put zero point 0.1 here for the next activity, which is working, so you see for working as well, it has created this, right? So we recommend to use explode for 1, and rest we can have as 0, so that it looks much better than this. And then for example, I was talking about 2f. Let's say if you do 3f, so you try to observe here, we were having 2 places of decimal, and if you run it, now it will be having 3 places of decimal, right? And you might be thinking of that, from where this percentage is coming. So this percentage is coming from this data, and based on the part that we have put it into slice. If you make changes to this and this, so that will be directly impacted to this pie chart. I hope it is clear to you. Now let's move to the another one. For example, if we create some other plots, and we put grid. Basically, grid is basically the internal thing that we do have here, and the name of the I mean the color of the grid that we put it, which is k, that means black. And if you put it, let's say green, so the grid color will be green. That's what you can see. And these are the exactly the same thing that we covered. So that's it. These are the very basic thing for matplotlib. You can go through. I hope you may have bit idea of it. So matplotlib, basically, in case you want to learn it, you just go to the official website of matplotlib, and there are huge list of the documentation and the examples that you can find out here. So the whole code is written there. You just go to the different type of charts and all, and you can get the idea that how we they have put it the code for each and every chart. And you know, there are n number of option to available to make it more beautiful. So you can do lot of customization. I mean the design, the color, and the basically the different shades, lines, and all. I mean, if you want to move ahead with the just to beautify that, so you just go to the matplotlib one. I have just given you the basic idea. So that's it for the matplotlib part. We have just initiated. I'll come up with some more interesting thing. Meanwhile, till then, take care.